Oh, hello there. Yes, well, we slip into Wednesday and midweek. One of the things I've always found interesting as an adult is notions of a sort of collective psychology that nations often have. We sometimes think that the Russians have a sort of collective desire to have a czar in one form or another, or perhaps on a more definitive level, the way that the French have never really seemingly picked themselves up after losing to the Germans a number of times, and then perhaps the Vietnamese at Dien Bien Phu. These things leave a scar. You can see the scar that was left by the Vietnam War on America, the scar that was left on the Afghanistan War, on the Soviet Union by the Afghanistan War. Yeah, there are different stories that people tell, and sometimes these stories go astray. And I'm old enough to remember, love that phrase, but I'm old enough to remember when Israel was considered something of a sort of very moral and superior nation. First of all, perhaps with, the notions of the myth of the ship Exodus. If you actually read about that, had a lot more to do with French and British politics than perhaps the birth of Israel might lead you to believe. And then the inevitable war in 1948, which undoubtedly was a feat of arms by the Israelis, who undoubtedly had their backs to the wall. Then, of course, the Six-Day War, which I can remember dimly as a child, and the profound effect that had as a superior feat of arms, leading then on to such things as Entebbe, and you get, those really audacious killings or kidnappings of Nazis like Eichmann, and of course, the Yom Kippur War, defeating massed Soviet-style tank assaults in ways that Westerners could only sort of dream of at the time. But then it all really went a bit wrong, didn't it? Yeah, and that's really the basic problem, that nations do lose a sense of exactly who they are and where they're going, and it can all end up getting a bit messy. I mean, sort of Desmond Tutu's view that the way the Israelis were going with their apartheid regime would eventually corrupt them a great deal, and we can see 10 years on from those kind of words that that's exactly what's happened. And I personally think that that's what the UK is doing at the moment. We seem to have reached a final end point to the stories that we have been telling ourselves about empire. And there are those people that simply want those farcical stories to continue. And there are those of us, perhaps, who want to see something new, that we should, that something should be reborn from the ashes, not simply sort of festering resentment as the last lights go out, which seems to be the plan of a lot of our business and political and media elites. Perhaps we need new stories to be told, and they should be certainly moral ones, because we are quagmired at the moment in very illiberal, immoral tales instead, which will probably arrange themselves into a fairly nasty events in the years to come. But hopefully, Phoenix-like, something will arise. Anyway, do have a lovely Wednesday. Do enjoy if you can.